Sheesh. There has been a lot of talk about AEW and their TV deal, and today we are going to talk about it all. But first, we got a couple news stories that we got to get out of the way. It's another day for WWE and their stupid name changes. And of course, we got to talk about the creative process in AEW. My name is Ango, and as always, I'm going to keep you updated 7 days a week on all the latest things happening in pro wrestling. If you guys want more videos like this, go ahead and click that subscribe button. All right, WWE and their name changes. It's inevitable. At this point, it should be expected. It pretty much doesn't matter who you are, but when you come into the WWE and you step foot in that performance center, you are getting a name change. Now, today, we have found out that Roxy, former ROH Women's Champion, has had a name change. And quite honestly, I actually don't hate it. But again, the name changes are just annoying at this point, especially when they've been established, as the longest reigning UK world champion, and then they step foot into America and they get a different name. It just doesn't make sense. But that's the way WWE does things. At this point, it's like really no point in complaining because there's really going to be zero changes that come with complaining. But at the end of the day, it is just so silly at this point. Now, with that being said, for those who are unaware, Roxy did in fact sign with WWE, and I was keeping you guys updated along the way, which is great because now we know she's in WWE. And at the WWE NXT Level Up tapings, she finally made her in-ring debut. Now, it doesn't appear that WWE has made any changes to Roxy's appearance. It doesn't look like there's any drastic changes at all within the presentation, but instead of going by the name Roxy, WWE has decided to go by the name of Roxanne Perez. Now, the thing is, WWE has this weird tendency to have two names in WWE, but then when you move on to the main roster, WWE also decides to strip you down and just give you one name. Why not just use Roxanne? I don't know. It's crazy. Now, at the end of the day, WWE is going to do what WWE always does, and I really hope they get it right with Roxy because I think Roxy is going to be a tremendous talent for WWE in the future. Plus, she's young and has a lot of potential as she continues to grow. So, as she develops as a talent, I think there's going to be a lot of people who pay attention to the way WWE books her, and that could very well decide if they want to sign to WWE in the future, at least if you're an independent talent. Very interesting choice by WWE here, but I am curious to see what happens. Now would be the best time to tell you about our Discord server. If you guys don't know, I am building an awesome community with wrestling fans just like you. If you don't have a Discord account, it's completely free. We're building a community. You could come chat about wrestling, sports, gaming, health, and fitness, whatever it may be. Honestly, we use the word community, but at this point, it feels like a family, and you guys are invited. If you guys want to check it out, the link is in the description down below, and I hope to see you there. And now it is time to talk about the AEW Creative Process. Now, when AEW originally started out, I created a video discussing AEW's creative process, and there was rumors that there were issues about the creative process because of too many people having input. Now, the belief was that back then, the EVPs were all part of the creative process. Now, a couple months ago, Tony Khan actually revealed that wasn't the case. Just a few months after launching AEW, Tony Khan took complete control of creative, which was good because if you watched AEW in the very beginning, despite having a good wrestling show, it definitely lacked the structure. Now, as time goes on, people are starting to talk more and more about this creative process, and Tony Khan detailed a little bit more on what's actually happening and why it is happening. Now, recently, Tony Khan was on Wrestling with Freddie, which is hosted by Freddie Prinze Jr., who is actually a former writer in the WWE. And Tony Khan basically had a lot to say as to why his creative process works out really well. And I do agree with him in some capacity. I am the administrator in a lot of ways. What I think is really cool is people will ask me why I don't have a lot of writers. It's because I work with the top talent. With MJF and CM Punk, with each of them, I've spent hours and hours sitting and planning and talking. They both came in with such great ideas, and a lot of the stuff just matched up beautifully. And by the way, I am not saying that AEW is perfect by any means, but for the most part, the idea that their wrestlers can have creative input is a really good thing. Now, Tony Khan is the one steering the ship completely. So for those who believe that wrestlers are dictating their careers in AEW, that is not accurate whatsoever. But the idea is that Tony Khan's going to come up with ideas. He's going to present these ideas to the talent, and he's going to allow talent to give them ideas back. This is all different compared to WWE. This is actually so different when you consider that WWE literally pays tons of people to be involved in the creative process. And sometimes it just doesn't work out. Now, this isn't necessarily about WWE versus AEW, but I am very curious, what would it look like if WWE had the same creative process as AEW? what would AEW look like with the same creative process as WWE? The reason why I bring that up is because even if you look at the creative processes being entirely different, there are a lot of similarities between the two products. That's just a whole different conversation for a whole different video. And if that's a video you guys want to see, make sure you let me know in the comment section down below. I would love to do a thorough breakdown on that. Now, I am not sure necessarily how this all got brought up or who's pushing this narrative, but what I do know is that I am being asked every single day, what is happening with AEW's TV deal? Long story short, for those who are unaware, Warner Media and Discovery are merging into one big company. In fact, it's already happening right now as we speak. Now, AT&T was the parent company of Warner Media, but this appears to be another step in AT&T's exit from the entertainment business model. So why does that matter? Well, look at all of the content associated with Warner Media. Not only is there a plethora of great titles and intellectual properties, but you also have live news through CNN, and you also get pro wrestling through AEW on TNT. Also, keep in mind, TNT, TBS also have live sports, and this is all going to be moved under the umbrella of Discovery. Now, the reason why this is important is because anytime a merger happens, we typically see massive layoffs, and this is something that staff from Warner Media currently fear. With that being said, it's also been mentioned, I know the HollywoodReporter.com had reported that over 9 executives have left Warner Media and will not be merging alongside with Discovery. So this means there are a lot of opportunities at this day and age for Discovery to say, look, we don't want AEW. We don't believe this follows our core values, and there's a lot of possibilities with that. However, we need to be realistic. AEW is a growing product that continues to do well on a weekly basis. I know wrestling fans love to get lost in the talk about ratings and key demographics and WWE and this and that, but it is very clear that WWE and AEW are here to stay. Now, the question really becomes, will we see any changes with AEW on TV? That is entirely up to the Discovery executives. It wouldn't be completely out of the realm that AEW might have to boil down on some of the different, blood, gimmick matches, death matches, stuff like that. That all might have to be saved for the pay-per-view. There's also a really good chance that the Discovery executives look at AEW's numbers and realize what they have is working. That's why it's so incredibly important to have a television partner who truly backs you, which is something that AEW had with Warner Media. So while I understand that there's a lot of people confused as to whether or not Discovery will have their back, I don't think it necessarily means AEW would lose their TV deal. I think it could potentially result in some sort of changes to their weekly television programming. But even that, I don't think it would be that massive. Now, the real question here is what will happen when the contract expires? Will we see AEW join somebody else? Or will Discovery and AEW's relationship be better than ever? That is something that a lot of people need to start looking into. We're going to be watching very closely to see how AEW's product changes in the next coming months. But to be honest, I would say for right now, don't be scared. Don't be worried. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. As always, sound off, and I would love to see you in the Discord server. If you guys are new here, make sure you subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.